Apple is reportedly looking into a way to have their popular earbuds see. What's the deal with that?
Cameras are reportedly going to be the big feature update on the next generation AirPods. Analysts say adding outward-facing cameras to the wireless earbuds will help with its spatial computing efforts. That means they're likely meant to be worn alongside Apple's Vision Pro, the company's $3,500 headset. Other experts say cameras could allow for gesture controls, where the wearer makes a motion next to the buds to raise the volume or skip to the next track. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Everything is looking good right now. Everything is up. The Dow up 48 points to 39,167. S&P 500 is up nearly 9 points this afternoon to 5,469. And the NASDAQ is up 105 points to 17,837. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite, financial planning at every level. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather next. Sounding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time is 1:07.
When you have a stuffy nose, life can be a bit unpleasant. Some live every day with a stuffy nose, and that can make life downright miserable. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula with Advent, where we are committed to eliminating your nasal breathing problems with simple in-office procedures like balloon sinuplasty, which requires no surgical cuts, little to no downtime, and can have you breathing better in less than 30 minutes. At Advent, we understand your inability to breathe freely limits your quality of life, and that's why we continue to pioneer the most advanced in-office procedures that have made our practice a global destination for those seeking to live their highest quality of life. Visit AdventKnows.com to see if you're a candidate for the balloon sinuplasty procedure. Because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Before you go looking for an area rug that you'll have to settle for because you think that the one you really want will be out of your budget, come to Design Exchange, where you'll find a formidable selection of Oriental, Persian, and other wool area rug choices at 25 to 70% off retail. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor on consignment at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
In Heartland, you're going to find a focus on distinctive furniture, unique antiques, and original artwork, along with tasteful home decor that can fit almost any budget. In Pewaukee, the focus is on kitchen, outdoor, and garden decor, and all of it is priced at 25 to 40% off retail. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor on consignment at a value.
Design Exchange.
Time for WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all sports desk. The Brewers complete a 5-1 homestand with a 7-1 win over the last place Cubs Sunday afternoon. A 7-game road trip begins tonight in Colorado against the Rockies. Amazingly, the Brewers have hit 5 grand slams in their last 8 games. Incredible. Coverage of tonight's game begins at 7:05 right here on WTMJ. Taking a look at the roads with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time-saver traffic. The one incident we do have is down in Racine County. It's on the exit to Wisconsin 20 from 4194 south. It first happened around 12:16. They're not saying exactly what it was. Couldn't tell if it was an actual crash or not. Looked like it involved one car. There was a fire truck out there and an ambulance as well, but it looks like some of that has since gone away, so hopefully that will be cleaned up momentarily here.
Traffic is brought to you by Rejuvenix, your non-surgical joint therapy experts.
Rejuvenix. Alleviate your pain. Rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenix.com to request your appointment.
Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Wow, so comfortable out there. A little cooler than what we've been used to, that's for sure. Today, mostly sunny, PM high clouds. We're going to hit a high of 71 today. Tonight, increasing clouds will dip down to 62. Tomorrow, rounds of rain and storms. Be prepared for that. Breezy conditions as well. High of 78 tomorrow. High of 87 on Wednesday. Rain very early in the day, then decreasing clouds, warm and humid. Thursday, that's the 4th of July. Partly cloudy, isolated shower or storms. It's not going to ruin many plans, though. High of 82. On Friday, chance for rain and storms. High of 79. It's currently 66 degrees in Milwaukee, Waukesha, and Racine. Sounding Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 1:11.
65,498 square miles. We've got a lot to cover, so let's get to it. This is Spanning the State, and here are your hosts, Kristen Bry and Brian Noonan.
Good afternoon. Coming up today, so there was a big ruling out of the Supreme Court today.
I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, the Supreme Court ruled that the presidents have immunity for official acts. But what does that mean? What does it mean for Trump? What does it mean for future presidents? Do we have a king now? I don't know. So we're going to be talking to political science and law professor Howard Schwaber from the UW-Madison, who's going to break it down for us at 1:35.
Yes, and we have a lot going on in the second hour. We're going to talk about cow manure and breaking it down and the science behind all that, which is very confusing. So if you're not confused enough by the law, stick around and get confused by science.
You'd get confused by machines that eat gas.
Yes, it's going to be quite a day, but let's get right to it.
Let's get right to it. So 2 weeks from today, Brian, you and I will be sitting in Radio Row in the Panther Arena because the RNC will officially be here. Now, how busy will it be? I guess we don't know because there were reports last week, one of which came from the recombobulation area, that a lot of downtown businesses are not booked out yet. Mm-hmm. And we're 2 weeks away. And so my question I'm left with is, where are all these people going to be hanging out?
I don't know. I know they're having beer and listening to Trace Atkins one night at Summerfest grounds.
That is
true.
That
much.
That is true. So the founder of the recombobulation area, Dan Schaefer, is here to talk about what he found from his report, and maybe we can recombobulate on what this actually means for the city of Milwaukee. Welcome to the show, Dan.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
So you were working on this for a month or so, as far as hearing the rumor mill, as far as who was booked and who wasn't?
Yeah, so I've been, working on this story about, the kind of lackluster level of activity going on in the run up to the RNC here. It was just kind of one of those stories that had been under the surface, I feel like, in Milwaukee for the last several weeks, where, we'll have these stories about like where the security perimeter is, all the details about what's going on with the RNC. But what stories we weren't hearing were a lot of, big event bookings and other places saying, hey, we're packed for the week of the convention. We've got, where everything is booked, private events like crazy. It just kind of seemed like there was a very slow roll of activity. And so in late May, Gary Witt, of the president and CEO of the Pabst Theater Group, sent a letter to Visit Milwaukee and the RNC. I obtained a copy of that letter, and that kind of kickstarted my reporting for this story. And what Witt wrote in that letter, I'm going to quote directly here. He says, "While I am saddened about the lack of business in our venues, I am even more concerned about how this incredibly disappointing lack of events will impact our restaurants and small event spaces who might not be able to afford being closed for a week." And so he said that, and then, a few weeks later, I was able to sit down with Gary Witt for a conversation about what was going on, and that led to this story. He talked about how underwhelming the events bookings had been, not just for the Pabst Theater, but he was hearing it all around town, and he characterized the RNC's events planning as a, quote, failure.
Well, what was, for the venues and the restaurants and everything else, what was promised versus what is being delivered?
Yeah, I think it's kind of an abstract promise to a certain extent, right? It's like they said that there was going to be, $200 million in economic impact brought to the city of Milwaukee, directly or indirectly, because of the 50,000 people coming to the city for the convention. What that means specifically for a lot of places can mean a number of different things. But I think the expectation overall with hosting a convention at this scale was that the city is just going to be flooded with people. There's going to be events everywhere. And here we have, maybe the biggest voice in event venues in the city of Milwaukee going on the record to say, hey, two of our most iconic venues in the city, the Pabst Theater and the Riverside Theater, they're going to sit empty during the RNC. And he's saying that this is what, he had been hearing all over town. It's not just those two events that are going to be empty. It's the other Pabst Theater venues. The only place that they do have booked throughout the Pabst Theater Group is Turner Hall Ballroom, and that was booked with CNN and through an agreement made for the DNC. For the DNC.
Okay.
Yeah, that was an agreement made 4 years ago through the DNC. So no new businesses, and not just the venues, too. I was able to talk to a number of restaurant owners.
Sure.
I talked to some folks from Loopy and Iris, celebrated new downtown restaurant, was honored by, it was in the premiere episode of this season of Top Chef. Has been celebrated all over the city. I talked to one of the people who working there. Their spokesperson told me that they only had one private event booked for the entire week of the RNC. Only one private dinner booked for this whole restaurant. Now they said that they had their reservation books closed for a number of weeks because anticipating calls for let's shut down the restaurant, 300 people, blah blah blah. They weren't getting any of that, and so they said, well, we're going to reopen our reservation books, see what happens here. Similar conversation I had with the owner of Amalinda, which, as he mentioned, you can see the Pfister Hotel from the front door of their restaurant, so not exactly far from.
These are all places that are right downtown. The soft and hard security zone. This is all downtown business. And so let's take a break quickly, and when we come back, I wanted to see if you talked to anyone who is booked, because I know there was an article last week in Journal Sentinel that the California GOP has booked, and so they're going to Harley-Davidson and Villa Terrace. And so is this maybe just a downtown thing, and a lot of the events are going to be elsewhere throughout the city? So we'll continue to talk about that with Dan Schaefer from the Recombobulation area. This is Spanning the State.
WTMJ's John Mercure here. Join me as we count down to the RNC in Milwaukee. We'll talk to the biggest names across the political landscape.
The idea of having the convention here is to advertise the city of Milwaukee. And it's not good advertising for the city of Milwaukee if they're throwing Molotov cocktails and overturning cop cars.
Full podcast available on WTMJ.com or text RNC to the Old National Bank talk and text line and get a link sent directly to you.
Decision Wisconsin 2024 coverage is presented by Pasternak and Zerga Bell.
Hey, boaters!
Where else are you going to find weather stripping for a 77 Carver? That's what he said, and I don't know the answer to that one, but he sure was glad he found it here. I'm Dave Doro with Kendor Marine, and when it comes to boat parts and supplies, we have it all. If you're a boater and you need it, we got it. And that's why you got to get here. Boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine, we got everything you need but the water.
KendorMarine.com.
Hey, boaters!
Inexperienced boaters are more than welcome here, because at Kendor Marine you'll find all the answers to your questions on parts, installation, troubleshooting, and the best part is, when we figure out what you need, we can grab it from our massive inventory of boat parts and supplies that no one around can match. I'm Dave Doro, and boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine, we got everything you need but the water.
KendorMarine.com.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here for Azura Memory Care and Assisted Living. Their mission is to transform the culture of care. We're all living longer. That means in all of our families, people are facing Alzheimer's, dementia, and other memory-related issues. Azura specializes in caring for those with early to late stage Alzheimer's or other related dementia symptoms. They're Wisconsin-based, 14 in our state, 4 in our area. I've been in their buildings. They're fantastic. It's Azura Memory Care and Assisted Living, empathy and compassion at the core. It's Azura.
It is Spanning the State. I'm Brian Noonan.
And I am Kristen Bry, and we are talking to Dan Schaefer of the Recombobulation area about his special report last week outlining how few downtown businesses have booked parties or dinners coming up for the RNC. And so right after your report went live, the New York Post followed up on that story, right?
Yeah, there was a story almost immediately after my story was published last week, Wednesday, that there was a story in the New York Post talking about a kind of a quote that the Pabst Theater Group and that Gary Witt had given to someone who was trying to book the RNC. So this actually appeared in a New York Times story a couple months ago when there was a piece in the Times talking about how there was a lot of activity happening in Chicago and not so much happening in Milwaukee in the terms of event bookings and things like that. One of the things that they outlined there was, I think they referred to as a clear mismatch of expectations. So, we all know those of us who live in Milwaukee, we know the Riverside Theater. You've probably been to a show there. Big venue. I think it's about a 2,500 person capacity. Somebody tried to book that venue for a 50-person party and movie screening. And so, Witt and the Pabst Theater Group, anticipating that, we'll probably get bigger bids than that, showed them the bill for what it would cost to book the Riverside Theater for the day. And it was billed for more than $100,000. And so that document was leaked to the New York Post last week to just show that, to try to demonstrate. It seemed like kind of a hit job to try to demonstrate this mismatch here. But I don't really know that this reflects all that well on the RNC, because it just shows that, there was a promise of something greater coming. You would think you'd be able to book something larger than a 50-person movie screening at the Riverside Theater of all places, and it just never materialized. So I think there's a number of kind of stories like this in the run up to the RNC where that expectations were going to be one thing, the reality is something different.
Before we take a quick break, part of your investigation had some people theorizing that maybe it was because of the chaos that may occur as far as the nominee at the RNC that may be keeping some places from being booked. Not that they're not willing to be booked, but people are not spending the money to book there.
Yeah, that was part of part of what people were saying too. Is just once it became clear that Trump was going to be the nominee, it's no secret that he's an especially divisive political figure, and so some event venues might not want to be part of a Trump RNC, as opposed to perhaps if it was like a Nikki Haley RNC or something like that. So I think that is, a part of it. But I think even from the outset, he was the odds-on favorite to be winning this. So I think that, that's certainly a big part of it too.
Well, so when we come back, I feel like Milwaukee's in a unique position because what other city has had back-to-back conventions? Even though the DNC wasn't actually here in 2020, all of these same businesses had the experience of going through the booking process when it was supposed to be here. And so I think it's a unique situation where these same businesses can compare and contrast. So let's get to more of that with Dan Schaefer after this.
The Upswing with Jeff Sherman.
Where do you hope to draw students from for that campus?
Get to know what's going on in the community and businesses throughout Milwaukee and Wisconsin.
Part of our vision is diversity, not just racially and culturally, but also socioeconomically, creating the world for our students to explore, experience, and grow up in.
Weekdays from 10 to 11 on WTMJ. Presented by Horicon Bank, the natural choice for all your banking needs.
Gorgeous new roofs, showstopper siding, or classic brick and stonework. How about modern windows and regal doors that'll make your chin hit the floor? To a lot of people, having these things can really make them enjoy where they live. It makes them proud. But there's always one thing standing in the way. How do I make that happen? At Semperfi Roofing and Exteriors, we have excellent financing options for most people in most situations. 12 months, no interest, no payments, and exceptional rates for long-term loans that will beat your bank with no additional fees or hidden costs. You can go to SemperfiRoofing.com to apply for your pre-approval today. We want to make any project affordable to almost any person, and we've gone out of our way to find partners that can help make it happen for you. This is Brad Youngbluth with Semperfi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semperfi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semperfi.
Ask about our finance options.
The July sale on Norwalk Furniture is on now at Ken Michaels Furniture. Save 40% on showroom pieces that are ready for immediate delivery, or in just 35 days, you can create a look that reflects your unique style with over 850 fabric and leather options. From family-friendly to on-point designs, these fabrics are durable and fashionable, and our design service is free to help you put it all together. For better quality American-made upholstery, stop in today and save at any Ken Michaels Furniture locations in Greenfield, Brookfield, or downtown. Get a better night's sleep and save money on a Milwaukee mattress. For over 70 years, our family has been making mattresses and selling them direct to your family. By cutting out distribution costs, you can save up to 50% and get a better night's sleep on a premium mattress. Go green with natural latex. Reduce tossing and turning at night by reducing pressure points on your body. This is one of our most popular mattresses. Stop in today and take a test rest at any of our Ken Michaels Furniture locations in Greenfield, Brookfield, or downtown.
You know this already. Inflation is sticky. You see it on the news. You feel it at the grocery store. It's the involuntary pay cut no one wants and that we can't seem to shake. Annex Wealth Management wants to help. Now is the time to download 7 strategies you can use in an environment with elevated inflation. Learn how real assets can help, which tax-efficient strategies to consider, and one way to increase Social Security benefits. It's a free download and available now. Go to annexwealth.com/inflation.
Spanning the state. I'm Brian Noonan.
And I'm Kristen Bryan. We're talking to Dan Schaefer on his reporting on some of the lackluster bookings that are happening, at least in downtown Milwaukee. And so what I find interesting about this is the fact that 4 years ago, all these same businesses had an experience with the DNC host committee. And I think it's rare, if ever, that it's been back-to-back in that way that business owners can say, well, this was my experience 4 years ago with a different group, and this is what it's like now, and this is what's better and what's worse. And so have you had similar conversations?
Yeah, I think especially in the restaurant world is where we saw a lot of differences where people were talking about booking tables months and months and months in advance for the DNC and for the RNC, still nothing. So it was not just my report last week. There was some others reporting on this as well. The Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel had a story on Dan Jacobs, who was just a finalist for Top Chef, owner of Chef at Dan Dan. And he was quoted as saying, we've gotten not a single inquiry for the RNC. And he said for the DNC, we were getting 9, 10, 12 months out, we were getting inquiries, bookings. Now there's not a lot of action. So I think this is just the uncertainty that this invites is a really challenging thing for a lot of downtown restaurants. They don't know where to staff up, extend hours, open certain things, try to still book things. Stay open late. You know, I think it's a lot of uncertainty. And I think also with that too, there's a lot of places saying that, you know, maybe our regulars aren't going to be coming this week. We're going to be relying on these RNC guests. We need these walk-ins to make things work here.
Dan, we got about a minute left. Who's to blame? It was if this goes south, and was it a good idea in the first place?
Yeah, I think, of who's to blame. Gary Witt was very specific in saying it's the RNC and not Visit Milwaukee that should be shouldering the blame here. But he also said that it was not a mistake for Milwaukee to host the convention. I'm going to read a quote from him from my story at the Recombobulation area here. The goal is to be able to shine a light on the city. You should always take risks and take chances to make these things happen. But life is about execution. You can't just want to do things. You have to want to do them right. And not much about this has been done right.
Interesting. And I think it's all going to be hindsight, right? Because I think there is, like I said, the Villa Terrace has been booked out. Harley Davidson has been booked out. It sounds like there's a lot of hotels in the surrounding area. And so I don't know if there is. I feel like there's a couple different things potentially at play. Less people than we thought. Mm-hmm. More bookings outside of the actual downtown area and just the decision from the RNC host committee to funnel people in different directions. Actually, that's all I got. I got those two things. I don't know what else it could be.
Could it be Milwaukee is a horrible city? Could we have, is that part?
It could also potentially be that. But, well, I hope you do a follow-up story. I hope you expand outside of downtown and see what other business owners are saying. But Dan Schaefer, as always, love everything you do at Recombobulation area. And we'll see you again soon.
Thanks for having me.
Dan.
All right. Coming up next, ABC News and local headlines.
This is a special report from ABC News. Supreme Court rules on immunity. I'm Daria Albinger. By a 6-3 ruling, the Supreme Court has sided with Donald Trump, finding presidents enjoy immunity for some official acts while in office. But the justices sent the next steps for the former president's looming criminal case back to the lower courts. Here's ABC's Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas.
The next thing I'm told that you could expect is some sort of hearing by Judge Chutkan in short order to begin to hammer
hammer out some of these issues, and you would think that the judge will look at every allegation, every charge brought forth by the special counsel, and begin to determine what is official and what is not official.
The ruling also means that it is almost certain Mr. Trump's immunity case won't go to trial before the November election. The former president says all of his trials should be dismissed because of the ruling. This is ABC News.
Saudi Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 1:31. Arrested for fraud in connection with a missing Dodge County woman, Zachariah Roush of Clyman is the estranged husband of Crystal Roush. Investigators have arrested him for identity theft. They say he used Crystal's debit card at several stores after her disappearance. Items purchased include gloves, stain remover, and carpet cleaner. Roush is being held at the Dodge County Jail right now on a $250,000 cash bond. Crystal Roush was last seen June 11th. Investigators are currently searching a vehicle registered in her name, found on a property belonging to Zachariah's relative. There's a new campaign in Milwaukee to stop speeders. The city unveiled it this morning. The name of the campaign? Speeding. We can live without it. The city is encouraging people to slow down and drive the speed limit, report speeding and reckless driving, and share stories about how speeding has impacted your life. You'll see billboards and posters about the new campaign. You'll see ads on buses, too, plus social media posts. The campaign focuses on the high injury network. That's the 10% of streets that have 58% of the crashes that kill or severely injure people. Time for news about your money now. Here's a WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Wall Street is looking good on this Monday afternoon. The Dow is up 20 points to 39,139. S&P 500 is up 6 points to 5,467. And the NASDAQ is up nearly 105 points to 17,837. Inflation is not going away. Download your copy of Safeguarding Against Inflation, Strategies for Wealth Preservation at annexwealth.com/inflation. Taking a look at the roads with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver Traffic. There is a new incident that I want to let you know about right here. I'm checking it out, 41894 South. Beyond the ramp from Greenfield Avenue, once again, 41894 South, beyond the ramp from Greenfield Avenue, the two left lanes are blocked due to a crash, and that is having quite the slowdown. Some of the cameras are actually turned off right now, but it's definitely having a slowdown all the way from where that accident is on Greenfield Avenue to about Blue Mound, so a heads up on that one. And here's a look at your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Today, mostly sunny, PM high clouds, high of 71. Tonight, we're going to dip down for the temperatures to 62. Tomorrow, rounds of rain and storms, so keep that umbrella handy. We'll have a high of 78 tomorrow. On Wednesday, rain very early on, decreasing clouds, warm and humid on Wednesday, a high of 87. For the 4th of July on Thursday, partly clouded. We may see an isolated shower or storm, just an isolated one though, so it's not going to ruin all the plans out there. High of 82 on the 4th of July. On Friday, high of 79, a chance of rain and storms. It is currently 64 degrees in Grafton, 69 in Kenosha, and 66 in Milwaukee. I'm Jessica Ty. Sunny Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 1:34.
I love the Fox and Hounds, voted the best supper club in the area and serving fabulous meals for almost 90 years in their rustic timber building. WTMJ's John Mercure here. When you buy one dinner, your second dinner is free always. Desserts, too. It's the best dining value in the state. Steak, seafood, pasta, even the steak and lobster, and prime rib on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Your second dinner is free as you dine in one of the 8 elegant dining rooms. Relax with your favorite beverage on the patio in the woods. It's spectacular. Incredible place to have a drink. The Fox and Hounds, just off Highway 167, 2 miles east of Holy Hill. Wherever you live, it's worth the beautiful drive through the Kettle Moraine Forest to the Fox and Hounds, a summer must-see. Gift cards are perfect year-round gifts, as your second dinner is always free, FREE free. Order online at foxandhoundsrestaurant.com. Brighten up your Monday and Tuesday with a free dinner tonight. Tables are open at my favorite place, foxandhoundsrestaurant.com. It's the famous Fox and Hounds.
It's Christmas in July at St. Vincent de Paul Thrift Stores. Get sale discounts store-wide all month long. What a great time to shop for all of your Christmas needs. Get your holiday decor and so much more, along with all the great bargains we always have for you. It's Christmas in July at St. Vincent de Paul Thrift Stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
All all of your favorite artists, all in one place.
Push the f- off of the porch or break up down. Get this if it happen to blow, it makes a round sound.
Join Wisconsin's Midday News at the world's largest music festival, live from the Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin Mobile Studio at Summerfest 2024.
It is Spanning the State. I'm Brian Noonan.
And I am Kristen Bry, and they always decide to go out with a bang, don't they? Don't accuse the Supreme Court of not liking the drama. This morning, in a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court ruled that presidents have immunity for, quote, official acts, but punted to the trial court the question of whether former President Trump's alleged conduct in his January 6th case was protected. So what does that actually mean? I am not a lawyer. Are you a lawyer, Brian?
No, despite my best efforts.
So joining us now to explain what this all means to us is UW-Madison political science professor Howard Schwaber. Welcome to the show, Professor.
Well, thanks for having me.
So Brian and I did not go to law school. So how do you explain what this morning's ruling means to those of us who did not go to law school?
So there are a couple different ways of thinking about this. One is in terms of the specific case involving Trump. One is in terms of the general principles the court is relying on. And one is in the truly awful way that they framed the rules that they made.
Okay. So let's take it one by one.
Exactly. So in terms of President Trump, Roberts was in fact very careful to say that the allegations against Trump include allegations of acts that would not be official and therefore would not be covered by this immunity. So right off the bat, we can say that just today, Trump announced that based on this ruling, all charges against him should be dismissed relating to January 6th. That's not only not what the Supreme Court said, it's something Chief Justice Roberts took pains to not say or say the opposite of.
Okay.
On the other hand, that doesn't answer which acts by President Trump were or were not official. It leaves it to, as you pointed out earlier, it leaves it to the lower court to have to go through the facts and work that out. But certainly this is not a blanket grant of immunity for everything that Trump has done. On the second level, one of the general principles, what's interesting is that the court treated this as a separation of powers case, worrying that they shouldn't make rules that would allow Congress or the courts to infringe too much on the president's ability to do things. And to do that, they drew on a framework established a long time ago during the Truman administration. The basic argument goes there are some functions that are designated by the Constitution to the president. And when those functions are involved, the president's powers are at its highest, and courts and Congress should be least able to get in the way. There are some powers that the president exercises only because Congress has said he may. So Congress and the president share these powers. A good example is relating to President Trump, in fact, is the tariffs that President Trump imposed. He did that based on a law passed by Congress that gave him that authority. Congress could change that law. So that's an area of what was called, in a very famous case, a zone of twilight. And then there's the situation in which the president acts without authorization, and then, of course, if he doesn't have authorization from either the Constitution or Congress, then his actions are not official acts at all. And again, that much of the opinion analytically seems to make sense perfectly well. But that's the point where things go off the rails.
Okay.
Because well, forgive my strong language, but it's really the reaction among legal scholars has been nothing short of shock, possibly overblown, but definite shock.
Well, Professor, sure. You mentioned the ruling was about official powers, and I saw somebody else quoted as saying core constitutional powers of the president. I read Article 2 this morning, just to refresh.
Yes.
And I was looking at those, and I can't see any of those powers correlating to the charges against Trump. Am I, granted, again, no law school experience, am I missing something basic?
I think you are not. I think with respect to the actual case against Trump, and as I say, Roberts took pains to leave this open, there's a really good argument that a lot of the things he did are not, but in any sensible construction, part of his core executive powers. You might get for example, an argument that he's tried to make before, and he will certainly try and make again, in the classified documents case, that it's part of the core powers of the president to determine whether documents are classified or not. That might be a new argument in that case. On the January 6th side, he will try to make an argument that his address to the crowd was part of his role as chief executive, and he's going to try and argue that those are core executive powers. But I have to agree with you, it's an extraordinarily weak argument. The problem is, and this was brought up during oral argument, that the court has said there's absolute immunity for anything that's done in the exercise of core executive powers, and they've gone further than that and said motive doesn't matter. Let me give you an example. A couple of different presidents, including Nixon, have been accused of using the IRS to go after their political opponents.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned Nixon because in that case we're quite sure that he did it. In other cases there are allegations but not necessarily proof. Controlling the IRS, depending on your theory of executive powers, is very plausibly, arguably within core executive powers. If motive doesn't matter, if the immunity is absolute, then the fact that you're misusing those powers for improper purposes no longer matters. The president has immunity even for doing things like using the IRS to go after political opponents. A hypothetical example that was brought up at oral argument, supposing a president orders SEAL Team 6 to murder a political opponent. You could argue that control of the military is part of the executive's core powers.
Right.
If improper motive really doesn't matter, the fact that he's doing this in order to eliminate a political opponent is irrelevant, and he would have immunity. That's clearly an absurd outcome. But read literally, that's what this opinion seems to say.
So that was oral arguments, but basically based on the ruling we got today, that is what they said.
Exactly. In oral argument, this was brought up as you can't possibly mean this. And in the ruling we got today, they said, yeah, we kind of do. Now, obviously there are counter arguments, right? But that's the problem. This is written in such sweeping, and the dual rule. One, it's absolute immunity, and two, motive doesn't matter. The reason that's so important, an act can be official but illegal. So it's an official act to have the IRS audit people, but it's illegal to do so selectively to go after your political opponents. Wow. The court said today, no, if it's official, it can't be illegal. The other problem, though, that's the combination of blanket immunity and this claim, which in criminal law is bizarre, that motive doesn't matter. Motive always matters, right? Did you intentionally kill someone or accidentally?
Or
kill
accidentally,
someone?
yeah.
Makes a big difference. That counts. Here, that's not true. And then there's that middle category, that is areas where the president is acting on authority that arguably Congress has some say in. And by analogy, they're saying here that's when the president is acting at the not with core executive powers, but the outer bounds of executive powers. And there they say, well, the standard is essentially the same, except that it can be overcome. That is, the burden of proof is entirely on whoever's challenging the president's immunity to show that the act was unlawful, and so on.
Professor, we got to take a break really quickly, but we'll bring you back after this because I kind of want to wrap my head a little bit more around what Pandora's box was just opened. But we are talking to Professor Howard Schwaber from UW-Madison. Stay with us. This is Spanning the State.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Brian Wickert, owner of Wisconsin's own AccuNet Mortgage. I get that most home shoppers just go with their bank when it comes to getting pre-approved, but that's probably a mistake because banks have a lot of overhead, like branches, fancy headquarters, and layers of management. That means their closing costs are typically $1,000 to $3,000 higher than AccuNet's for exactly the same rate. And that's not all. Bank pre-approval letters are usually weak and unconvincing, especially compared to AccuNet's rock-solid, fully verified pre-approval that provides a $2,000 guarantee to you and the seller. Our senior loan consultants will also look at every possible way to strengthen your offer and pre-approval in the eyes of that seller, especially if you're offering over the asking price. We even call the listing agent to reinforce what a great buyer you are. Banks don't do all that. Click on the blue button today at AccuNet.com and let our passionate mortgage pros help you win while you save a bunch of money, too. That's ACCUNET.com.
Here's to sweet summer days together with friends and family in Wisconsin.
to discovering magic in every moment.
Hey, Mom, over here.
And to reconnecting through a world filled with wonder.
Wow.
Here's to Supper Club celebrations and dancing until the sun goes down. Here's to those who Wisconsin. Plan your summer getaway at travelwisconsin.com.
Fleet Farm has everything you need for your 4th of July cookout. No matter what your favorite grilling brand is, we've got it. Shop brands like Weber, Traeger, and Pit Boss. Get a Blackstone 28-inch griddle with hood on sale for just $279.99. Plus, pick up 2 16-pound bags of Kingsford charcoal briquettes for only $17.99. Get great deals on all the essentials for your holiday cookout at Fleet Farm.
This is Anthony Zanevsky with Quality Heating. When you have over 20 HVAC techs working with you that each have over 20 years of experience, it gives you confidence to be able to go out there and talk reliability, integrity, value, all the things that matter when you hire someone to get the job done right the first time. These words mean everything to us, and we know they mean a lot to you. And that's what you'll get when you hire the man in the red van.
You gotta see the man in the red van. Quality heating, quality heating.
Now's when the summer heat is working your AC system into overtime. And after this long, it may be on borrowed time. But some of these systems really can't last, especially Armstrong Air Pro Series systems. When your AC system says its final goodbye, think of the man in the red van and the over 60 years of experience that Quality Heating brings to your home. To get your new Armstrong Air Pro Series AC system installed right and right away.
You gotta see the man in the red van. Quality heating, quality heating.
It's Spanning the State. I'm Brian Noonan.
And I'm Kristen Bryan. We were talking to UW-Madison political science and law professor Howard Schwaber about this morning's Supreme Court ruling, 6-3 decision that the presidents have immunity for official acts. And so I think there's, like as we said in the previous segment, there is the specifics as this applies to Trump's cases. But this is also going forward. What Pandora's box was opened by this decision?
I think that's exactly right. And actually, we might benefit by looking backward to Nixon. A lot of the things that Nixon had people like Haldeman and Ehrlichman, people who worked for him in the executive branch, were crimes. Under today's ruling, Nixon could plausibly argue that a number of those things were official duties. So in other words, they could go to prison, but he'd be immune. The president under this ruling can order people to do things that are clearly crimes, and those people can be sent to prison for committing those crimes, and yet he can be entirely immune if he can argue they're part of his official duties. And don't forget, arguing what is official duties depends basically on how clever the lawyers are and how sympathetic the judges are. Let me give you one more example that I think makes this really clear. Certainly one of the core powers and functions of the president is to faithfully execute the laws. Mm-hmm. That's why we have an attorney general and a Department of Justice, and these are parts of the executive branch. By the logic of today's opinion, a president to obstruct justice is doing something that's illegal but part of his official acts and is therefore immune from any criminal liability. That's extraordinary.
So, as far you mentioned this before, and I think it bears repeating, the reaction of legal scholars across the country to today's ruling.
Shock and horror. Frankly,
are there any legal scholars that aren't surprised or are defending this decision that you've read so far?
I have not, but that does not mean they don't exist.
Okay.
I mean, let me say, I did not spend all morning doing nothing but reading opinions.
You have a job? What?
Yeah, well, no. I mean, let me be clear. I don't think, and I think many legal scholars agree with me, that there's nothing wrong with the basic idea that there has to be some degree of immunity for the performance of official duties.
Okay.
And that it can't be absolute immunity for absolutely everything. So Trump's absolutist position was clearly not going to fly, and conversely, a position that says that presidents have, for example, less immunity than police officers in the performance of their duties also would not make sense. So the basic idea of distinguishing between core executive functions and unofficial activities is not by any means bizarre or irresponsible.
Okay.
What makes it what makes it a Pandora's box, if I can borrow your phrase, is two things. One, this idea that motive is irrelevant. And two, that the immunity is absolute in the case of official acts and pretty nearly absolute in the case of core official acts and pretty nearly absolute in cases involving actions that are at the, quote, outer ambit or outer limits of executive authority. And what will happen is lawyers, as Trump's lawyers are trying to do, will argue that what looks like a private action is actually just barely within the scope of presidential authority and therefore entitled to this presumption of immunity.
And again,
so
that's going to be up to the lower courts to decide that, correct?
Well, it's going to have the lower courts to decide, and it's going to get appealed, and then courts of appeal will rule on those decisions, and eventually some case like this will come back to the U.S. Supreme Court, and somewhere down the road, someone's going to ask if this has any effect on standards for impeachment.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much for explaining that to us.
Yes.
Fascinating. As like I said,
I'm grateful. I don't think explaining is a proper term here. I hope I've called attention to a couple of things that need to be explained sometime in the future.
Yes.
Fair enough. Fair enough. UW-Madison professor Howard Schwaber, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Professor.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Citing Unlimited News Time, 1:52. This is Spanning the State.
If you've got the rock, we'll bring the roll.
Keep on rolling, baby.
Lined into left center field. That's going to get down. Plug the gap. Roll all the way to the wall. Andrew Monasterio flips that helmet high in the air. And the Brewers walk.
It's the Brewers out west taking on the Rockies. Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts tonight at 7:05. We are the home of the Brewers. WTMJ.
Hey, boaters!
Some call them oddball parts, but we call them a huge part of our inventory. Dave Doro here from Kendor Marine. With thousands of boat parts and supplies stacked right here in our store, you won't have to look elsewhere. If you need it, chances are we got it, along with expert advice to get your job done right. Hey, boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
KendorMarine.com.
Hey, boaters!
It's a boater's do-it-yourselfer's dream store. Kendor Marine stocks thousands of boat parts and supplies. Just about everything you'd ever need to keep your boat up and running. Whether it's common or something you think might be discontinued, you can bet on us having it. So don't be surprised when we have just what you need. I'm Dave Doro, and boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
KendorMarine.com.
Find furniture for life from Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
SemperFiRoofing.com.
So he said to me, boy, oh boy, do you got the boulders. And I said, you betcha. And he said, do you mind if I cherry pick? And I said, feel free. They're all beautiful and they're all granite. Sparkling pinks, blues, and grays from 4 to 36 inches. And they're all priced right. Because we buy direct from the source nationwide to give you the look you want. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. Well, if you need flagstone for your new natural patio, Erickson's is the place to find it. We have the largest selection and 15 styles to choose from. And for decorative stone, Erickson's is your best choice. Our decorative stone is trucked in from all over the country. We buy straight from the quarry and cut out the middleman to keep your prices nice and low. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
Get the help you need Saturday morning with How To Radio. At 7, it's the WTMJ Fix-It Show with David Nason, featuring this week's guest, Accurate Basement Repair. At 9, plan your dream vacation with the Fox World Travel Show. At 10, get financial guidance during Money Talk. Contact Annex Wealth Management for an unbiased review of your investments at annexwealth.com. How To Radio, Saturday mornings on WTMJ.
It is Spanning the State. I'm Brian Noonan.
And I am Kristen Bry. Do you ever wish you went to law school?
I used to, my mom, when I was younger, used to, even when I was in grade school, she used to, you should go into maritime law. Somewhere
Very
she heard that
specific.
maritime law was a big field, and we should go into maritime law. And no, and then I often thought I would be a very good litigator. But then the more I talk to actual attorneys, you don't really get to go into court and argue cases. You're plea dealing, you're researching. There's no big Perry
There's
Mason
no Atticus.
moment.
The Atticus Finches of the world are far and few
Yeah,
between.
you get a couple of those, but no, I'm happy what I'm doing.
Yeah.
No regrets. How about you? You seem like you would have been a good lawyer.
Well,
a barrister.
Thank you.
Well, no, you have an eye for detail. You like to debate.
Yeah.
It's all good things for
I feel
lawyers.
like I wish I had the knowledge of a lawyer. Like, I wish I could just rattle off case law like that and be like, well, that can't do that. That's illegal. I wish I could do that. But as far as I don't want to be a lawyer.
Okay.
So, all right. When we come back, we're going to spin around the state. This is Spanning the State.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
As you age, you start noticing pain in your joints that didn't used to be there. But you don't have to live in pain. When joint pain becomes a reality, schedule your free pain evaluation with Rejuvenex. We'll find where your pain lives and inject powerful, FDA-approved medicines that reduce inflammation and pain, while improving mobility in hips, shoulders, elbows, and knees, with some patients experiencing relief for greater than 2 years before repeating the process. While treatments like stem cells can cost close to $10,000 per joint, at Rejuvenex, the cost for your injection can be as low as $65, and almost all major insurance plans cover our treatments, so you may not have to pay anything at all. Call us now to schedule your free pain evaluation, because I'm pretty sure we can help you. This is Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Clinics, where we can alleviate your pain and rejuvenate your life.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your free pain evaluation.
Here at Richlands, we offer both comfort service and expert service.
Our comfort service comes with movie theater popcorn, hot gourmet coffee, upfront pricing, on-time scheduling, plus anything else we can do to keep you comfortable.
Put that on top of honest service from the most friendliest, hard-working people you'll ever meet inside a tire and service center, and well, we'd like to believe we're on the right track to meeting your expectations.
But when your check engine light, tire light, or any other light screams, "Service me," well, that means you're due for our other type of service.
Our expert service. Tires, brakes, belts, mufflers, transmissions, and even engine repair.
Come on into Richlands and put our expert service to the test.
And while you're relaxing, enjoy our comfort services too. I'm Brett Matchke with Richlands, your
due for service.
Since 1964, we've changed your tires and so much more. Richlands Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richlands.
Hi folks, this is Hank Albert, owner of BBC Lighting. Now that St. Paul Avenue is finally repaired, parking is easy for shopping at our showroom, where you'll see the newest styles of LED lights, chandeliers, ceiling fans, lamps, and mirrors. We sell every major brand, such as Visual Comfort, Tech, Hubbardton, and hundreds more. And our prices are the lowest. I guarantee it. If it's lampshades or repairs you need, we do all that too. BBC is an illuminating experience for the whole family to enjoy, including our famous free popcorn. We're open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and Saturday 10 to 4. BBC is located at 20th and St. Paul Avenue near Potawatomi, Sobelman's, and Bachman Furniture. Stay safe and healthy, my friends.
The place you want to go, Lynch McWanago.
Nobody sells for less than Lynch.
Can we get much higher?
Oh, yeah, we can go higher.
And Bauer sends one out to center. Racing back his hill. At the track. Wall. Grand slam.
The Brewers are in the Mile High City to take on the Rockies. Our coverage starts tonight at 7:05 on your home for the Milwaukee Brewers. News Radio 620 WTMJ Milwaukee.
It's 2 o'clock. I'm Julia Fellow. Tonight, increasing clouds, a low of 62. The wind southeast at 10 miles an hour. Tuesday, rounds of rain and storms. Breezy. The high will be 78 degrees. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, the estranged husband of a missing Dodge County woman has been arrested for identity theft.
37-year-old Crystal Roche of Kleiman was last seen June 11th and reported missing June 23rd. Her husband, Zachariah Roche, has since been arrested for identity theft, using Crystal's debit card at several stores since her disappearance. Some of the items include gloves, stain remover, and carpet cleaner, with all charges totaling over $6,500. Investigators are currently searching a vehicle registered in Crystal's name that was found on a property belonging to Zachariah's relative. Jack Grau, WTMJ News.
Rush is currently in a Dodge County jail on a $250,000 bond. Police say they still consider this a missing persons case. In other news, going to Northridge Mall on Milwaukee's north side gets one last walkthrough today ahead of its looming demolition.
For some, it was a playground. For some, it was an opportunity to make money.
Now the city hopes the demolition of the mall at large can begin smoothly. Department of City Development Project Manager Benji Tim tells WTMJ while the demolition may occur at odd hours, it should not impact any of the nearby businesses.
That may involve working at night sometimes, especially Menards has pretty robust retail hours, so we'll probably have to do some of the work at night.
At the former Northridge Mall, Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
Tim says the city hopes the demolition of the main mall structure can begin later this summer. The 4th of July lands in the middle of the week this year, making for extended peak travel times. Make sure you're ready.
You'd think we could spread the celebrating into 2 weekends with the way the 4th of July falls this year, but the DOT is reporting peak travel times stretching through some extra days. On the way out, the heavy stuff will start around Wednesday the 3rd between 2 and 7 p.m. And for your return trip, you're looking at Sunday from 2 until 8. As per policy, the DOT tries to suspend overnight closures for the whole weekend, but barricades, cones, and barrels will still be present, so make sure you're paying attention. Debbie Loziga, WTMJ News.
Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is currently up 8, S&P 500 up 6, NASDAQ up 105. Inflation is not going away. Download your copy of Safeguarding Against Inflation, Strategies for Wealth Preservation at annexwealth.com/inflation. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Setting Unlimited WTMJ News Time 2:03.
Each day there's a sliver of time when you can almost breathe freely, and you feel better when you can. But you know that eventually that sliver of time closes, along with your nose. It puts a damper on your day every day. So you pop a pill or you take a spray to try to get that relief back. But it's always short-lived. And all the while in your efforts to give yourself relief, you may be making your nasal breathing problems worse. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula, and a simple in-office procedure from Advent called balloon sinuplasty could be the fast and convenient answer to your breathing triangle problems. Advent has been a leader in this procedure, which can be hard to find elsewhere. It's simple, there's little to no downtime, and it really can be life-changing.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary.
I love the Fox and Hounds, voted the best supper club in the area and serving fabulous meals for almost 90 years in their rustic timber building. WTMJ's John Mercure here. When you buy one dinner, your second dinner is free always. Desserts, too. It's the best dining value in the state. Steak, seafood, pasta, even the steak and lobster, and prime rib on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Your second dinner is free as you dine in one of the 8 elegant dining rooms. Relax with your favorite beverage on the patio in the woods. It's spectacular. Incredible place to have a drink. The Fox and Hounds, just off Highway 167, 2 miles east of Holy Hill. Wherever you live, it's worth the beautiful drive through the Kettle Moraine Forest to the Fox and Hounds, a summer must-see. Gift cards are perfect year-round gifts, as your second dinner is always free, FREE free. Order online at foxandhoundsrestaurant.com. Brighten up your Monday and Tuesday with a free dinner tonight. Tables are open at my favorite place, foxandhoundsrestaurant.com. It's the famous Fox and Hounds.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. Brew Crew complete a 5-1 Homestead with a 7-1 win over the last place Cubs Sunday afternoon. A 7-game road trip begins tonight in Colorado against the Rockies. Amazingly, the Brewers have hit 5 grand slams in their last 8 games.
We were a team that wasn't very effective with bases loaded up until about a week and a half ago. Now pitchers can't keep the ball in the park against you guys. The bases loaded.
We made a huge adjustment with the bases loaded. It's a secret plan. How to hit homers with the bases loaded. It's been working. We bought it. It was a recipe online, and we got it.
There you have it. Coverage of tonight's game begins at 7:05 right here on WTMJ. NBA free agency underway. Milwaukee Bucks are bolstering their backcourt rotation by signing free agent combo guard DeLon Wright to a 1-year deal worth $3.3 million, as reported by ESPN. Rice Lake native Kenny Bednarek qualifies for Olympics in the 100 and 2-meter dash, finishing second in both the U.S. Championships in Oregon. Taking a look at your roads with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time-saver traffic. The biggest incident I see is a crash. 2 left lanes are blocked because of a crash on 41 South, about a quarter of a mile beyond the ramp from Greenfield Avenue.
Traffic is sponsored by Hall Mazda Milwaukee. Visit hallmazdamilwaukee.com.
While you're navigating the roads as quickly and safely as possible, if you see something we should know about, call the WTMJ Hall Volkswagen Traffic Tip Line, 414-238-9329.
Your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Tonight, increasing clouds, a low of 62. Tomorrow, rounds of rain, storms, breezy, a high of 78. Wednesday, rain very early, decreasing clouds, will be warm and really humid, a high of 87. Your 4th of July forecast. Partly cloudy, isolated showers and storms are possible, a high of 82. Friday, chance of rain and storms continue, a high of 79 degrees. In Madison, it's 71, in Green Bay, it's 73, and Milwaukee, it's 67 degrees. Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 2:08.
It's time to take a spin around Wisconsin and find stories you might have missed. Here's Spinning the State on Spanning the State with Kristen Bry and Brian Noonan.
It is always fun to see stories that are coming from all over Wisconsin, and we do it every day after the 2 o'clock news. If you miss any of the stories or want more details, you can always text SPIN, S-P-I-N, to 855-616-1620. Where should we start, Kristen?
Racine. Yeah.
Mispronouncer
says Racine. So this news actually broke on our show on Friday, but we wanted to revisit it. Citizens of Racine County are mourning the sudden death of Racine County Executive Jonathan Delagrave. Delagrave, who has been active in the county government since 2003, died suddenly last Friday. He was 51. Starting his service to the county in 2003 at the Human Services Department, he rose through the ranks and became director in 2010. He was first elected as Racine County Executive in 2015 and then subsequently re-elected in 2019 and in 2023. He is being remembered by county leaders as a forward thinker, a good man, and someone who prided himself on being bipartisan and getting things done.
That's the kind of politician you want, and 51 is
51
way too
is
young.
really, really young.
That's, well, keep a good thought for Jonathan Delagrave and his family. All right, let's spin. Maybe a happier story. That's the second story.
Green Bay.
Nope. Port of Green Bay missed out on a huge grant expansion. The Port of Green Bay was trying to get a $25 million grant that would have filled a funding gap, allowing it to build a new port terminal that would have allowed them to relocate the coal piles out of Green Bay's central city. I did not know there were coal piles in the middle of the city, but there are, I guess. The grant would have been part of the Rebuilding America's Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity program. Cost estimates of building the new terminal came in at about $49 million. That's 19 more than expected, 19 million more than expected. Almost 150 grants were funded at a total of $1.8 billion. Green Bay was not one of them, and although this is a major setback, the port director, Dean Hain, says the project will happen.
Okay.
So good for them. And
Determination.
Get that coal out of the middle of the city.
When you said coal in the middle of the city, I was just like, oh, the city must have been bad.
Yeah.
And Santa left them coal in the middle of the city.
One big Green Bay Packers stocking just filled with piles and piles of coal.
All right. Maybe this one will be happy.
Rice Lake.
All right, Rice Lake. So back in 2020, Rice Lake High School alum Kenny Benarek, a.k.a. Kung Fu Kenny, that is his Instagram handle, won a silver medal in the 200 meters at the Tokyo Olympics. After his performance this past Saturday night at the U.S. Track and Field Championships in Eugene, Oregon, it looks like he could bring home another medal from Paris, too.
That's good news.
Benarek took second in the men's 200 meters with a time of 19.59, and he was just behind his teammate, Noah Lyles, who had the time of 19.53. I don't even know what point...
6/100ths of a second.
So far this year, those two times are first and second fastest in the world. So go Team USA. Benarek has also qualified for the 100 meters event, which he accomplished last week with another second place finish behind Lyles. So those two teammates, but just really edging each other out.
And you know who he came in second to in Tokyo?
No, he came in second.
Right. Do you know who he lost to in Tokyo?
I read it. So Lyles got bronze.
Oh, I thought they said he beat him there too.
No, so he beat Lyles in Tokyo.
Okay.
And Lyles got bronze and he got second.
I read that a couple times. I got all screwed up. All right. Well, listen. Congratulations. He's going to bring home a medal. They say the U.S. team is a lock this year to bring home medals.
Just a sweep?
Yeah. Well, so far the top two are the fastest times, like you said. Then the guy who came in third in Eugene the other day was, I don't know, way behind by a tenth of a second.
Yeah.
So it was like they're
so we'll see.
Predicting.
It'll be fun to watch.
Yes.
All right.
One more.
Milwaukee.
All right, bear with me. This does have a Milwaukee connection because I watched you and Rhea as I started to explain this story this morning, and you were like, this isn't going to any connection. Well, if you are a baseball fan, you know what today is. It's July 1st, and it is referred to unofficially as Bobby Bonilla Day. It doesn't honor his achievements on the field, but a financial deal that became the standard for certain contracts. So this is what happened. In 2000, Bobby Bonilla let the Mets keep the $6 million they owed him for the rest of the season, and in return, he agreed to be paid over a period of time that ends in 2035. That simply means that every July 1st, the Mets have to send Bobby Bonilla $1 million until he's in his 70s. If you don't like to do math like me, I did it for you. It turns out the initial $6 million turns into nearly $30 million with interest.
Damn.
Yeah, that is some shrewd investment. Now, all right, Brian, this is spanning the state. That's New York. Well, here's why it matters in Wisconsin. Because this is the same strategy that the Brewers' Christian Yelich used when negotiating his $215 million contract in 2020. He deferred $30 million, and the team will pay him $2.5 million a year from 2031 to 2042. And guess what day he picked to be paid on?
July 1st?
July 1st, in tribute to Bobby Bonilla, who is the pioneer of these deferred contract negotiations.
There you go.
So I did bring it all back to Wisconsin.
The deferred payments made me think of the hypothetical when any of us potentially someday win the Powerball.
Right.
Do you take the full money up front or do you take deferred payments?
Well, for the Powerball, I take it all because I'm not lasting 20, 30 years if I have $60 million. I'll be lucky to last a week.
Fair enough.
All right, that is Spinning the State. As we said, we do it every day after the 2 o'clock news. Text SPIN, S-P-I-N, to 855-616-1620 to get all the details. When we come back, this is going to be very good news to everybody in Wisconsin. It's a study, and you know you can put all your eggs in a study basket. I will tell you why you will be you'll be ordering grilled cheese and some curds tonight for dinner. When we get back, it is Spanning the State.
Throughout history, some people have been born into greatness because of their name or family. Others gained greatness because of their actions. On Wisconsin's Morning News, we celebrate everyday heroes, the John or Jane Doe who had no idea when they woke up one morning they'd be saving a life. Everyday Heroes, Thursday at 6:40 on Wisconsin's Morning News. Presented by Azura Memory Care and Assisted Living, transforming the culture of care.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Brian Wickert, owner of Wisconsin's own Accunet Mortgage, with a tip for today's home shoppers. You already know inventory is low and both competition and home prices are high. That's probably why you should not go with your bank or your real estate agent's mortgage pal for your pre-approval. You see, the banks have lots of branches, fancy headquarters, vice presidents and assistant vice presidents, and the loan officers who get referrals from real estate agents, they're typically very highly paid. Who do you think pays for all that extra expense? Turns out it's you. High overhead and high compensation naturally translate into higher closing costs. At Accunet, our extreme efficiency and low overhead mean your closing costs are typically $1,000 to $3,000 lower than banks and other lenders for exactly the same rate. Don't light your hard-earned money on fire. Get started with your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval today by clicking on the blue button and put the money you'll save in closing costs towards something for your new home. That's ACCUNET.com.
It's Christmas in July at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. Get sale discounts store-wide all month long. What a great time to shop for all of your Christmas needs. Get your holiday decor and so much more, along with all the great bargains we always have for you. It's Christmas in July at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
Ooh, you're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
The cheese tax, the cheese tax. You gotta pay the cheese tax every time you're cooking. When the cheese comes out, this puppy comes looking. The rules are the rules and the facts are the facts. And when the cheese drawer opens, you gotta pay the tax.
Welcome back to Spanning the State. I'm Kristen Bry.
And I'm Brian Noonan.
The cheese tax.
I do pay the cheese tax every time I open the refrigerator, even if there's no cheese on the menu. The dogs will wait.
They'll wait.
They'll wait, and they are ruthless in their they are more patient than I would ever be waiting for cheese.
Just those eyes.
They'll just sit there and
Are you going to feed me? Are you going to feed me? What are you doing? Why are you not feeding me?
Dude, I just gave you a treat like 12 seconds ago. Relax. You're going to explode.
All right, so we're not talking about cheese for dogs, though. We're talking about cheese for people.
This is very exciting. Sit down for this because it'll knock you off your feet when I tell you this. And I'm going to mispronounce the name of the university because it's from Shanghai, China, and I do not speak Mandarin. But researchers at Shanghai Jiaotong University School of Medicine have good news for all of us here in Wisconsin. Now, they say in their study that mental well-being, is one of the most important factors in determining your future health, which makes sense.
Your future physical health.
Yes, your future physical health. So if you have a good outlook, so you still have time, keep your good positive outlook. It will help you down the road. My outlook has affected my well-being, and for better or worse, it doesn't matter. But according to this study, they found that one of the key elements, not the only one, but one of the key elements to improve your mental health is eating cheese.
What?
Have you ever been sad eating curds?
I've cried in my curds before, yes.
Okay.
My curds and whey.
Well, is it because you're crying with delight, or
no,
are you shaming yourself?
No, I'm just joking.
Yes, that's all right.
I'm always in a pretty good mood when I'm eating cheese.
Of course, people love the dogs like cheese, kids love cheese, adults like cheese. So the study analyzed 8 data sets of over 2 million Europeans, and they lead everything in culture, so we have to follow them. They found that people with better mental health seemed healthier as they got older.
Okay, that makes sense.
So one of the noticeable contributions to all of these groups was that they ate cheese and they had a higher well-being score.
This feels very indirect.
Listen, you can scoff at it all you want. When I stop at Woodman's tonight and I get a tub of cheese for the ride home, it's for health. Now, Wisconsin experts have weighed in on this.
Okay.
This is not just people from China saying this. These are Wisconsin experts say they are not surprised by these findings at all. And
cheese makes us happy, too.
That's basically what they say. The director of Wisconsin Center for Dairy Research, who has no dog in this fight, wink, wink, He said, from my perspective, cheese is a nutrient-dense food with relatively low calories, and that is a great start to better mental health and better health in general as you get older.
To sum this up, this has nothing to do with like your cardiac, like how much this may or may not clog your veins. This is mostly just because cheese makes you happy, and being happy is better for your health. That is the.
That's it.
Okay.
If I may quote somebody, and Rhea, you'll back me up on this quote. Have you ever heard anybody say something like "Don't yuck my yum"? You ever heard that? Yeah.
You're the only person I've ever heard say that. Both of you.
I've never said it until Kristen said it.
It's my thing.
Oh, it's
now
your
she's
thing.
now she's yucking.
You say that.
Now you're
I'm
yucking
not
all
yucking anyone's
cheese.
yum. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to get the science right. That the argument here, or
Yes.
the hypothesis that was proven,
Correct,
is that cheese makes people happy.
Right.
Regardless
Happiness
of the actual nutrients and what it does to your body, because it makes you happy, they are arguing it is good for your health.
It's good for your mental health, which then is good in turn for your physical health.
Okay.
All right.
I'm just saying.
This is coming from a woman who has a 5-pound rock of cheese in her refrigerator.
We really got to bring that to work and start.
I eat a lot of cheese for some reason. I don't know what it is. I got a craving for this stuff. I don't know. I can't get enough cheese. I feel like a big mouse.
Yes, I feel like a mouse, too. A mouse who will not take an escalator anywhere. We'll do that and more when we come back. It is Spanning the State.
The cheese tax, the cheese tax. You gotta pay the cheese.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scafidi. I talk a lot about politics, but sometimes I just want to sit back and have a nice conversation about, well, whatever I want to on the Scafidiology podcast. Rose Gray hosts a brilliant travel, one of the best travel shows in the country. Is there one place of all those places you've been that just, oh my God, that just blew me away?
South Africa.
Why?
Yeah, the animals. You can't imagine what that's like.
You can listen to this conversation or any of my Scafidiology conversations wherever you get your podcast or at WTMJ.com.
For your next exterior remodeling project, we know you're not asking a lot from us. You want the right products for your situation, you want a few different financing options that can make your project affordable, and you want us to do a good job with minimal disruption to your life. And this one's important. You want a warranty that matters. And we know that checking every box makes all the difference. You might be surprised at how many moving parts go into it, but we have just the right people in all the right places to pull that off every day and make it look easy. The company we have took us 21 years to build. It's an awesome place to work because we never stop improving it. And we think we can do this work so well that we can actually change the reputation of exterior remodelers long term. This is Brad Youngluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
Keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
Ask about our finance options.
Inflation is real, but not at the family-owned Mine Shaft restaurant in Hartford. WTMJ's John Mercure here. This is new. Every Monday, when you buy one pizza, you get a second pizza free. Buy 5 pizzas, get 5 free. Buy 10, get 10 free pizzas. Coaches and teachers, bring your team or school club. Your players will love the pizza and that world-class game room. It's safe. It's super affordable. It's great team bonding. Bring in pizza today for your loyal employees and clients. They'll remember you, and a great way to start the week is your second pizza is always free. Don't cook and clean today. Mondays are tough enough. Enjoy the free pizza at the Mine Shaft. I love the pizza. Your kids and grandkids will love that huge game room. Order now, pick up your pizza shortly, or dine in. The Mine Shaft in beautiful downtown Hartford and just off the interstate in Oshkosh. Buy one pizza today, get one free for an easy Monday. And desserts, buy one, get one free. Just walk on in. MineShaftRestaurant.com. It's the amazing Mine Shaft.
It was a sobering headline. Social Security to run short by 2035. A possible 17% reduction in benefits. At Annex Wealth Management, we feel that Social Security is only one leg of the retirement stool, but it provides needed balance. It's time to stress test your retirement plan and move forward with guidance from the fee-only fiduciaries at Annex. Do it for you, your family, your legacy. Investment, retirement, tax, and estate planning. It only takes a few minutes to get the ball rolling. Head to AnnexWealth.com. Click the Get Started button.
Escalators, escalators, escalators! Ha! Escalators!
Is that a little SpongeBob for us, Rhea?
That is SpongeBob, I think.
Well, Welcome back to Spanning the State. I am Kristen Bry.
I'm Brian Noonan. SpongeBob, very excited about escalators. Do you have any problems with escalators or elevators?
Not till this story.
Yeah, I know you've heard the story, but it's something worth revisiting just a little bit because Saturday night after the Brewers-Cubs game at about 5:30-ish, one of the escalators that went from the loge level down, it experienced a malfunction, let's say, and it left fans, and this was a quote, plummeting down to the floor, which is terrifying. Who had this?
TMJ4
TMJ4 had this audio.
People who were there.
I almost contemplated jumping off the escalator. I literally got up on the railing. There was an older lady, and she was just kind of screaming and yelling, and I think that just makes it all worse. Like just hearing that, and when you're also looking back, there's blood on the escalator.
And so then there was one other person who's saying that it basically looked like a free fall slide.
Did some sort of free fall type thing where it sped up completely. You would have thought they were going down a slide. Piles and piles of people on top of each other.
That's horrible. 6 people were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. 5 people were treated at the scene. By 7:25, the Brewers had released a statement saying that the escalator from the terrace to the loge level malfunctioned, resulting in, quote, an increased downward speed, and on-site physicians and EMS were there immediately. So it could have been a lot worse, but that has got to be just terrifying.
I was trying to put this into context because I think it was Journal Sentinel. One of the reports I read on it was saying looked like it was going like 10 to 15 miles per hour.
Right.
Which you put in the context of a car, and you're like, oh, that seems slow. But have you ever tried to be on what's the fastest you've ever run on a treadmill?
7, maybe?
Yeah, I think I have, when I was in acceleration in high school as a high school athlete, I think we had to do sprints at 10 miles per hour. And those were the times where you almost are like, oh, I'm going to throw up by the end of this.
Yeah.
So 10 miles per hour, if you think about that on a treadmill, let alone 15, and how fast that is going. And if you think about what that's like to get to the bottom of an escalator and thus why people are piling up like that. I mean, I've never been afraid of an escalator before, and luckily no one had really serious injuries. But
Thank
still,
goodness.
that's, if you think about how long the escalator is at AmFam Field.
That's from the 400 level down to the 200 level.
I've been on those escalators, and it's not one floor. You're on there for a while, and you are the first person from TMJ4 that they interviewed saying that he thought about jumping off. That also doesn't seem like a great option.
Because it's not like you jump off into pillows. You jump off and go down 2 stories onto a concrete concourse. That's not a good thought. But I still have that thing, even when I'm getting on one of those moving walkways at the airport or whatever, where I pause for a second at the top of an escalator just to make sure I'm going to get the whole step when I step over.
So you don't
I don't
down
want
it.
Right, because if I'm coming down, I'm taking everybody with me. There's no doubt about it. So I just and getting off is not a big deal because if you don't see the edge, but that's where people get caught with shoelaces and different things, the top and the bottom. So it's not a fear; it's just an awareness. But now, and this is, listen, we know it's a freak accident, but it's still, anytime you hear about a freak accident, especially somewhere that you frequent, you'll have it in the back of your mind a little bit for a while. And you go, oh, maybe I walk up 2 flights.
I mean, if you had to choose between say there's no stairs.
Okay.
Do you choose the escalator or the elevator, knowing that you can also get caught and stuck in the elevator? Oh, this is harder for you than I thought it would be.
I got to go elevator because this was an instantaneous fall. You just, boom, you were done. In an elevator, at least you can sit down before it crashes to the earth. You can make yourself comfortable, and then when the cable snaps, then you just falls down. But, wow, my take is being booed by the crowd. I hate that.
But I thank God no one were seriously injured, because when I heard the story at first, it was kind of like a double take of wait, what?
Yeah, I know. I was like, that can't be. Is that right? And it was terrifying. When we come back, this is something that I found very interesting, and I hope you do too. We all know that dairy farms produce a lot of methane. Well, there's measures to get rid of that methane, but those measures, as you can imagine, are causing their problems of their own. So we're going to talk to the lead author of a big study when we come back. But right now it's ABC News and local headlines.
This is a special report from ABC News. The Supreme Court rules on immunity. I'm Daria Alvinger. The Supreme Court has sided with Donald Trump, at least in part, when it comes to presidential immunity. ABC's Stephen Portnoy with more on the 6-3 ruling.
Chief Justice John Roberts wrote the opinion himself, saying that while a president is not above the law, a chief executive does enjoy absolute immunity for official acts that are core to his constitutional powers, and he's entitled to the presumption of immunity for his other official acts. It's a big win for Donald Trump, who can now engage in a protracted back and forth with prosecutors and judges over whether what he did in the lead up to January 6th was official and off the table for the courts, or unofficial and still subject to prosecution.
Liberal Justice Sonia Sotomayor, one of the 3 dissenters, says the decision reshapes the presidency, effectively making the person who holds the office a king who is above the law. This is ABC News.
Citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 2:31. I'm Julia Fellow. Your top story: arrested for fraud in connection with a missing Dodge County woman. Zachariah Roche of Kleiman is the estranged husband of Crystal Roche. Investigators have arrested him for identity theft. They say he used Crystal's debit card while she was missing at several stores after her disappearance. Items purchased include gloves, stain remover, and carpet cleaner. Many other cleaning devices as well. Roush is being held in the Dodge County Jail on a $250,000 cash bond. There's a new campaign in Milwaukee called Stop Speeders. The name of the campaign officially is Speeding We Can Live Without It. You'll see billboards and posters about this new campaign, and you'll see ads on buses too, plus social media posts. Time for news about your money, the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is currently down 17, S&P 500 up 4, NASDAQ up 104. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite, financial planning at every level. Details at annexwealth.com. Let's take a look at the traffic map right now. Ooh, we got a few delays here. Let's see, 4394 north at Plankington Avenue. The right shoulder is blocked because of a disabled vehicle. We can see it's still smooth moving, though. That's good. I-94 east, about 2 miles beyond the ramp from Moreland Avenue. The center lane is blocked because of a disabled vehicle. That is causing some major slowdowns. And we still have 41 south, just about a quarter mile beyond the ramp from Greenfield Avenue. The 2 lanes are blocked still because of a crash, even a half hour later. US 18 west at Fairway Drive. The right lane is blocked because of a crash, and that just happened. Your WTMJ 5-day forecast tonight: increasing clouds. Tuesday, rounds of rain, storms, breezy, a high of 78. Wednesday, rain very early, decreasing clouds, warm and really humid, a high of 87. Thursday, the 4th of July, partly cloudy, isolated showers and storms are possible. The high will be 82 degrees. And Friday, a chance of rain and storms. The high will be 79 degrees. In Madison, it's 71. In Green Bay, it's 72. And Milwaukee, it's 68 degrees. Citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time, 2:34.
We asked people why they sold their homes to Grandview Homes instead of using a real estate agent.
We needed to sell Mom's home quickly and with a company we could rely on.
No showings, no closing costs, no staging, no real estate agent fees, no added stress.
Whether you have a hard-to-sell home, want a stress-free sale, or simply need to sell your home fast, Grandview Homes is the name you know and the name you can trust. Visit GrandviewHomes.com to discover the easiest and fastest way to sell a home.
I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it.
That's a lot. Why are you so happy?
It's time for Summerfest.
Oh, I love Summerfest. The music, fireworks, a Sazza sampler.
The beer, tossing things on people from the Sky Glider.
Don't ruin the vibe, Brian. That's what I'm looking forward to. That and beating you in a game of horse in the Gruber Law Sports Zone.
Well, I want to see the new Supermoon in Cosmic Cornfield.
Don't forget the most important new thing.
Huh?
Spanning the State is going to be broadcasting live Thursdays and Fridays of Summerfest from 1 to 3 p.m.
Be sure to stop by the Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin mobile studio to say hi. And Kristen, nothing but net.
You'll see.
There's a reason why we install Armstrong Air Pro Series systems. When your reputation is on the line, you pick the brand you can trust. It's like our employees. You pick the best to preserve your good name. A guy like me that's been working on furnaces and AC systems for over half my life. I got an eye for the good stuff. and Armstrong Air Pro Series systems fit the bill. This is Anthony Zanevsky with Quality Heating. When you need a good crew installing a system you can rely on, see the man in the red van.
Quality heating, quality heating.
Emergency service 24/7. Quality Heating has 25 trucks ready to work around the clock to get out there quickly to solve your heating or AC problem. So when that system goes on the fritz and you want to avoid that sweaty summer heat or bypass the fear of frozen feet, the man in the red van can't be beat when it comes to prompt, reliable service. Call Quality Heating for any emergency HVAC need.
You gotta see the man in the red van. Quality heating, quality heating.
Welcome back to Spanning the State. I am Kristen Bry.
And I'm Brian Noonan. And Wisconsin's very proud of its reputation as the dairy state. But I think we all have heard of this over the years, that the number of dairy farms here and across the country are responsible for a large amount of greenhouse gas emissions. Well, scientists, as you can imagine, have been focused on this problem. But one of the solutions, methane digesters, are causing separate issues. Joining us now to explain this and try to clarify for us, Dr. Michael Holly. He's the lead author of a 2017 study of Wisconsin dairy farms. He's an associate professor of environmental engineering at UW Green Bay, and he's also chair of the Master of Science in Sustainable Management. Dr. Holly, thanks for taking some time today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So overall, how much pollution is produced annually from dairy farms, not only here in Wisconsin, but across the country?
Ooh, I don't have the numbers directly off the top of my head, but from ammonia specifically, agriculture is a great source. So 81% of global ammonia emissions are a resultant of agriculture. I think for greenhouse gas emissions, it's in the teens, so a little bit lower. But of that, methane, which is a more potent greenhouse gas emission, agriculture is the greatest source of methane emissions.
So what are I mentioned methane digesters, and that seems to be what has been used. Can you explain what they are and what they do as far as cow manure, the waste on farms?
Yeah. So digesters break down biopolymers into smaller components. They're commonly called anaerobic digesters because the process takes place in the absence of oxygen. So we create this environment for these bacteria to create methane. So they're breaking down those biopolymers into smaller and smaller components until we're left with CH4 and carbon dioxide.
So then with what's left, that can be turned into biofuel?
That's right. So natural gas, the same thing that goes to heating your home, is methane. So that CH4, we can capture that gas from these digesters. Sometimes that's scrubbed to put into a pipeline, and farmers can receive incentives from California, such as a low-carbon fuel standard. Or it can be used directly on farm for heating or electricity generation.
Okay, there's a lot of debate over these methane digesters because when you say, oh, it creates this cleaner burning biofuel, that sounds good on paper. What are supporters pointing to as reasons that methane digesters are the way to go?
Yeah, so they're really good at reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So that methane that's being digested during that process is captured, and that captured gas is combusted to CO2, which is a less potent greenhouse gas. And during this process, we're also reducing the amount of natural gas and fossil fuel by using this methane gas that's generated from waste. So it's kind of a real potent greenhouse gas emission reducer. It's very effective.
So then, what's the other side? What are opponents like? Why are some people arguing against these digesters?
Yeah, so one of the results from the study was in 2017 is during this process, there's an increase of another gas, and that's ammonia, which doesn't get as much attention as greenhouse gas emissions. But ammonia is, can lead to particulate matter in the atmosphere. So it reacts with other gases, creates this human health hazard, particulate matter, and that can result in premature mortality, COPD, and other respiratory distress.
When you looked at the dairy farms here in Wisconsin, what was the effect of were you seeing a lot of those people getting sick? Was the air quality worse than it was in some other areas?
So Wisconsin, there's very low unattainment. So that means like we have levels for particulate matter, and once they exceed these levels in the air, then it's designated as unattainment zone. And it's only in Milwaukee, Racine County where this happens, and it probably isn't due to agriculture. But in California, they have a lot of unattainment due to particulate matter, especially the San Joaquin Valley, and when that's where these digesters are being placed. So there, and California is also subsidizing these digesters, and that's why my research has gained a lot of attention. Is they're subsidizing a technology that's increasing an emission of a gas that's hazardous to human health.
So is there a solution? What can be done? Can we still get the cleaner burning biofuel without releasing the ammonia? What are we to do? Trade one for the other?
Yeah, we're working on it. Colleagues of mine have looked at manure storage covers. So these are made of biochar, and they can reduce some of the ammonia emissions during the storage of that digestate. And that's when these ammonia emissions are happening. It's not from the process itself, it's when we store that manure. And that manure can be stored for 9 months to a year. So these storage emission covers act as a barrier to that ammonia and will reduce it. But there's other things that we can look at too, to kind of, looking at this acidity of the manure. You can also scrub that gas. So we're working on it.
So poop silos. That's what I heard. Just silos full of poop.
With a big fan on top. Dr. Michael Holley, thank you so much for shedding some light on this. Professor Holley is an associate professor of environmental engineering at UW Green Bay and the chair of Master of Science in Sustainable Management. Thanks a lot, Dr. Holley. We appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. Right. When we come back, there is more as we head toward the home stretch on Spanning the State.
Attention Milwaukee business owners, Graphic House Inc. has been proudly serving Milwaukee and the surrounding areas with top-notch signage solutions for over 50 years. We're here to stay and support your branding needs. From your sign design and fabrication to installation and maintenance, we do it all. Visit our website, GraphicHouseInc.com, for a free consultation. Graphic House Inc., Milwaukee's trusted partner in signage excellence.
With an ever-changing inventory, you never know what great bargains you're going to be able to find at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. It makes shopping fun because the best finds are the ones you had no idea you'd even come across. And when they're at thrift store prices, it feels good. And it feels even better to know you're helping us help others. Shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Blaine's Farm and Fleet's 4th of July sale is going on now, so celebrate and save with great summer deals throughout the store. Like 24 packs of spring water, 4 for $12, 15% off Mother's Brand vehicle cleaning products, 3M multi-purpose adhesive spray, $7.99, and rewards members get select bags of Blaine's Wild Bird Food, 2 for $12. In a rush? Place your orders online and pick them up in our convenient drive-thru in just 1 hour. In honor of Independence Day, Blaine's Farm and Fleet will be closed on Thursday, July 4th.
Downtown Milwaukee is the place to be for summer fun. Festa Italiana kicks off its 3-day celebration today at the Italian Community Center. Plus, the Frank Mott's International Kite Festival is back at the lakefront Saturday and Sunday. Head to Veterans Park for a dazzling display of hundreds of kites in all shapes and sizes. So come on down. Experience downtown in every sense. Go to MilwaukeeDowntown.com.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Brian Wickert, owner of Wisconsin's own AccuNet Mortgage. I get that most home shoppers just go with their bank when it comes to getting pre-approved, but that's probably a mistake because banks have a lot of overhead, like branches, fancy headquarters, and layers of management. That means their closing costs are typically $1,000 to $3,000 higher than AccuNet's for exactly the same rate. And that's not all. Bank pre-approval letters are usually weak and unconvincing, especially compared to AccuNet's rock-solid, fully verified pre-approval that provides a $2,000 guarantee to you and the seller. Our senior loan consultants will also look at every possible way to strengthen your offer and pre-approval in the eyes of that seller, especially if you're offering over the asking price. We even call the listing agent to reinforce what a great buyer you are. Banks don't do all that. Click on the blue button today at AccuNet.com and let our passionate mortgage pros help you win while you save a bunch of money, too. That's ACCUNET.com.
Ria's just rubbing it in that I had to leave.
That you
early
didn't
on
get to
Friday.
see them.
But it was. I'm glad I didn't because it was raining. So.
Are you going to do anything this week as far as Summerfest goes? Or is there anyone left that you want to see?
I'll see anybody, but we'll be there Friday.
We'll be there Friday
for our final broadcast, which will be great. So stop by from 1 to 3. And I don't know. I haven't looked at the lineup for Friday yet. We have a new game though for Friday for the Grandiloquent Game Show. It's Summerfest Band or AI Jam.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we'll explain that on Friday. And if you're going to Summerfest, you will, of course, be gazing upon the Milwaukee skyline. And if you're a native here, you might be, wow, this is a beautiful skyline. I wish everybody could acknowledge how beautiful the skyline is. Well, guess what? Architectural Digest has picked Milwaukee as having one of the most beautiful skylines in the world.
In the world?
In the world. They listed 17 skylines, and they ranked Milwaukee as number 15 in the world again. So it's, a lot of people think the Midwest and skylines, they think Chicago has a beautiful skyline, which it does. New York City made the list, Chicago, and Seattle. Those are and Milwaukee. So out of the 17, only 4 were from the United States.
So who was the most?
Some of the international cities named: Hong Kong, Dubai, Tokyo, Shanghai, and Toronto. So they were all named as well. So there you go.
There you go. Well,
Not bad.
I will say, if you're ever on a boat,
yes,
on Lake Michigan, looking at the skyline, it is very easy to be like, man, this is a beautiful city.
It is. It's really, really pretty, and I love looking at the skyline.
It is weird to me, though, because I feel like up close, are buildings really that beautiful? Like, there's something I get it, especially from architects.
Yeah.
So this is Architectural Digest, and of course architects think buildings are beautiful. But individually, I would much rather look at nature than buildings. But there is something as far as how the buildings complement each other that is visually appealing, but I still would rather look at the mountains than a skyline, right?
If I had to pick, yes, I would agree with you. But I do enjoy seeing a good skyline, having driven into many, many cities over the years. New York was number 1, by the way. New York, according to this article, New York was number 1
in the world or in the country.
In the world.
Oh, okay.
Followed closely by Hong Kong, then Chicago, then Dubai, then Tokyo, and Perth, Western Australia, Sydney.
Oh, interesting.
Shanghai, second mention of Shanghai today, and we don't usually mention Shanghai. Then Singapore, Bangkok, Tianjin, China, Panama City, Kuala Lumpur, Seattle, Washington, and there's Milwaukee at number 15, Auckland, New Zealand, and Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
So what do you think makes a good skyline?
I like you have a mixture of skyscrapers, that you can still see the horizon through. So when you look, you see the blue of the sky, you see the buildings. Some buildings maybe that reflect light always catch my attention. If there's a bridge or some sort of waterfront, or
the waterfront, I think, is important.
Yeah,
I don't think any of the cities named weren't on the water, were they?
I don't know.
Because even Paris is obviously on a river,
right? It looks like again, just looking from the pictures, I don't know where. There's no water in the Dubai picture, but that doesn't mean it's not on the water. Shanghai, I don't know, but I do like the water aspect. I also like different finishes of the buildings. You know what I mean? Where you have some old that look stone, and then you have some modern, so it's a nice mix. I think that makes it good. Wherever there's different shapes.
What about unique shapes of the building?
Yes, the shapes of the building anything that draws your eye and makes you want to look at it for more than 12 seconds.
Okay.
And go, oh, yeah, okay. I've driven through, no shade, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, a lot of cities where you go, oh, okay.
It's like a bunch of U.S. Bank buildings.
Yeah,
that's the ugliest building in the Milwaukee skyline. It's just the 1970s architecture is just
it's like okay,
down.
No, I don't want to see it. So yeah, but congratulations, Milwaukee, number 15 in the world, not just anywhere else. So keep it up, Milwaukee. Throw up something else to draw people's attention. All right, let's do this, and then when we come back, we will we'll wrap things up because I'm winded after 2 hours. We got to lay down. It's Spanning the State.
WTMJ's John Mercure here. Join me as we count down to the RNC in Milwaukee. We'll talk to the biggest names across the political landscape.
The idea of having the convention here is to advertise the city of Milwaukee. And it's not good advertising for the city of Milwaukee if they're throwing Molotov cocktails and overturning cop cars.
Full podcast available on WTMJ.com or text RNC to the Old National Bank Talk and Text line and get a link sent directly to you.
Decision Wisconsin 2024 coverage is presented by Pasternak and Zerga Bell.
Gorgeous new roofs, showstopper siding, or classic brick and stonework. How about modern windows and regal doors that'll make your chin hit the floor? To a lot of people, having these things can really make them enjoy where they live. It makes them proud. But there's always one thing standing in the way. How do I make that happen? At Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, we have excellent financing options for most people in most situations. 12 months, no interest, no payments, and exceptional rates for long-term loans that will beat your bank with no additional fees or hidden costs. You can go to SemperFiRoofing.com to apply for your pre-approval today. We want to make any project affordable to almost any person, and we've gone out of our way to find